Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcast. I am Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens.
And I'm Meteorologist Haley Fiaschetti.
Trying to see if I can hear us, make sure it sounds good. I don't think we've had a podcast where things works just fine yet, but...
What?
Oh, wow, it sounds great. There we go. Nailed it.
Score.
Nailed it. Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcast.
Yes.
And we are back out here on the balcony here at the
nice.
910 News building in Traverse City, next to the Box Pop.
Right next to the Box Pop.
Yeah, I was out here last night. In fact, it was a beautiful evening yesterday. Don't know if you got to enjoy it.
Yes.
She sleeps in the evenings.
I got ice cream.
Oh, from where?
Little Red something.
Little Red
I
Corvette.
don't know. Not Moomers, because I know Moomers has a long line.
Oh, Moomers is delicious, though.
But it's so good.
You know, Moomers makes one of my favorite flavors of ice cream.
What flavor?
Eggnog. They make an eggnog ice cream, and it's amazing.
Whoa.
They do. They gave it to us, maybe it was around Christmas time. I can't remember. It was delicious. Anyway, I was out here yesterday evening. I watched the Tigers game. My chair still hasn't moved.
Oh.
I
You opened up the bar and you...
No, I didn't even open up the bar. I just took the thing off and took the remote from inside, turned the TV on, and watched the Tigers game out here yesterday evening.
Fun.
And that's what I was doing when Spencer Jr. fell off the roof. So if you guys haven't heard, before we get in too far into our podcast,
Before we get into what we really talk about.
we have two seagulls. One, we named him Spencer, but he's been dive bombing us for the last few years. He doesn't like men, so we don't know if it's Spencerina or Spencer. But then Spencerina sits over on that telephone pole. There's little baby seagulls up on the roof.
Yes.
And that's what they're protecting. And in fact, when you sit inside, you can hear the little
little piddle paddles
all over the roof. It's really funny. Anyway, I was out here last night, and Spencer Jr., I named him, fell off the roof, or somehow ended up down here with me.
I don't know how that
happened. He's not the strongest flyer, but he was trying to find his way back up on the roof.
But he's learning.
He's learning. I wanted to so badly help him, but I was like, I'll just go inside. And about 10:30, I came back out here to check on him. He wasn't out here, so I think he found his way back to the roof. But I guess I never realized how big baby seagulls are.
Yeah, they're huge.
They're monstrous.
Seagulls in general are just big.
Big birds.
Yeah.
That's
why when they come down and try to attack people, it's scary.
I don't think they would ever actually hit you. I don't even know what they could do. But, yeah.
No, unless you had, like, food with you.
It's true.
You ever, like, go to the beach?
Yeah, with fries.
Yeah.
Someone's talking to us.
Hey.
Yeah, there he is. There's Spencer. He's up on that telephone pole. You guys can't see him, but he's up on that one.
He's up there.
And then Spencerina's over on that one. So they're
and
the
they
Spencer
will
parents.
hit people.
They will.
I like
They'll dive
go
bomb
to
you.
Studio 415 and just... It is kind of funny.
They'll shoot down at you.
Unless it was you. No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, welcome. Cherry Fest came and passed. How was it for you? Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah. It was it was my first time ever, like, in Traverse City for Cherry Fest. I used to live in Reed City, so working in
a little bit different.
The big RC.
Yeah.
And being on morning shift, you really can't enjoy anything in Traverse City because
True.
I have to be in bed by the time all, like, the really fun stuff happens. So it was nice to actually be, like, in TC this year.
For everything that's going on.
And actually, like, go to a concert, see what was happening.
Yeah.
And enjoy some things. So that was really nice. And then...
You did it.
Yeah, besides that, got really hot towards the end of the week. The mugginess came.
The mugginess
on
Friday.
like Thursday, Friday.
It was warm.
You felt it. And then, yeah, walked in the parade Saturday.
How was that?
It was really fun. So hot. This is my 4th Cherry Fest parade to walk in. And every year it's hot. I feel like we've like been, knock on wood, every year that I've been a part of the Cherry Fest, it's always been really nice weather.
I think this was the first one that I didn't partake in.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, 14 years, I could say probably 13 of the 14 have been sunny and hot.
Yeah, and it was just
very rarely is it ever rainy
hot.
Or cold.
Yeah, it was just...
It's been hot. We used to have squirt guns back in the day.
That would have been nice to have,
so we could just spray the crowd, and people loved it.
Yeah, we had Katie Boyer from Crafting with Katie.
Rich, hello.
Hey.
Rich, how are you, buddy?
we had little frisbees we were passing out, and
Mm-hmm.
she was handing out people going, frisbee or fan, and the second she would say a fan, someone would go, actually, I will take that, thank you. And then you just see people waving their frisbees in their face.
Frisbee
I was
or
like,
fan.
nice sales marketing, Katie. Yeah, no, it was hot. It was definitely just a muggy one. I feel like it's always been hot, like we said, but this was like definitely like the muggiest I think I've been part
It was
of Cherry
hot.
Fest.
I went to Oscoda, my buddy and his wife, and then one of my hockey teammates, and he married a girl that we went to college with. So, like, a lot of people were in Oscoda for the 4th of July.
Right.
And if you guys recall Courtney Hunter, the Doyles were in Oscoda too.
Oh, really?
So, I hung out with all of them, and yeah, it was a hot day. I think I pulled in at 9 o'clock. We were gonna go golfing, and it was already 83 or something like that. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're putting golf on the back burner.
Yeah, I don't
So,
blame you.
my buddy's wife, Maggie, her parents own a house on Lake Huron
Cool.
in Oscoda, so we were like, let's just go play in the lake.
Yeah.
And I
Best
am
day
not
for
a
it.
huge Great Lake guy. Like,
Okay.
the lakes just are too cold for me.
Okay.
But it was perfect. It was
Good.
great. 90 right on the beach,
Yeah.
and the water being 65-ish
Felt like refreshing.
was great.
Yeah.
Yes. It was really cool that I could explain a lot of the things going on with the lakes to them. The Lake Huron's way down this year. Nerd. I was like, that's the meteorology in me. Lake Huron's way down though. This time last year I was over there, and like they had a bit of a beach, not a huge beach, but a bit of a beach.
Yeah.
This year it was down probably 10 feet or so.
Wow.
A lot more beach.
I always like when you go to Oscoda because you're kind of our eyes for Lake Huron.
Right?
Like
yeah.
besides our viewers, like we like trust you guys obviously, but
Well,
like
that's what I think
like your
infatuates me
eyes.
with so much with Lake Huron is like you just don't see it as much.
No, it's like the same with like Lake Superior. Like I'm
right.
so interested in that lake because I never see it.
But you know, on our side we have the dunes. Lake
Yep.
Superior, you got the cliffs.
yeah.
Lake Huron, you just have nothing.
Lake.
Yeah, there's really
Yeah.
there's no dunes,
That's
there's
so
no
true.
cliffs.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It's just what's leftover weather that takes over for Lake Huron,
Right.
right? They
Yeah.
don't get east winds, so they don't have the dunes. They don't get, the elevation.
to get
so
the
they don't have cliffs.
Yeah, they're kind
It's
of
just grass.
It honestly is kind of just like a coast.
Yep.
It's
a
what
great lake without the
Yeah, it's
the great additions.
yeah, it really is just a shoreline.
Yep.
That's it.
So
Interesting, yeah.
yeah, we played in the water.
Nice.
Did a little raft or tubing and chilled, and then I think I boogied on home that evening. But yeah, it was good seeing everybody, and
Yeah.
thankfully cooler air prevailed Sunday.
Yeah, we went Saturday, we went down to a few of Spencer's friend's house, my boyfriend, and not the Seagull.
Not the Seagull.
And went to Portage Lake
Mhm,
over in Onekama. That
Beautiful
felt
lake.
really, really nice. And then we watched a fireworks show, and I had to forecast a little bit off the clock because it was about to rain
Yep.
when we were about to do a little fireworks show. So I
On
was like, oh
Saturday.
no. So got the fireworks show done just in time, and then started sprinkling.
I will say this though about Cherry Festival: Traverse City does fireworks right. My goodness gracious! So we
Yeah.
were here for Hoobastank, and Bowling for Soup and Plain White Teas on Friday, and the fireworks happened right after.
Nice.
And my goodness gracious, what a show!
Good.
Boom Boom Club, hats off to you. It was very good.
Nice.
It was about 45 minutes, I would say, maybe
Oh my
50.
gosh. Okay.
But yeah, spectacular show. It was wonderful.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
hats
we had
off.
some
TC,
backyard fireworks.
I'm impressed. It was great. Cadillacs went forever too.
That's great.
I slept through a lot because it was Saturday
Yes.
and I was very
Tired?
tired from the sun. Which, by the way, 5 minutes without my shirt, I was red. That's how powerful the sun
Shocker.
is. Yeah, Czech and Irish in me. But I
But you're still pale now, so it's
still
fine.
still pale. I vaguely recall hearing fireworks in my sleep, but yeah, they went for a long time. Now I don't know if that's necessarily the neighborhood firing off too,
Mm-hmm.
but the town sounded like they went forever. So cool, good on them.
Yeah.
We had great weather for it. Wasn't terrible.
Yes.
The only spot that I heard of was Oscoda actually was thinking about whether or not to light fireworks, and that's because they're in the drought zone.
Interesting.
So down by Saginaw Bay,
Yeah.
where they have the severe drought
Right.
conditions,
Okay.
they were kind of wondering if they should have
You know,
fireworks.
I thought about that. I did an interview. It aired this past Friday with Jeff Koser, and he was kind of talking about that. And I thought, I mean, he was obviously like gave the same like warnings as always, like be careful of firing. If you have dry land, know your risks and stuff like that. I really, with all the hot weather that we had towards the end of the work week, I really thought we were going to see more, not restrictions per se, but more cautions. Last year we had a lot of cautions.
We had a lot of cautions last year, but we were very dry though too.
Yeah, but this year we didn't at all, which I knew because of the ground the ground is fine right now where we are. But it was really, really hot for like days in a row, so I thought we were going to see more cautions than we actually did. Glad we didn't, because everyone got to enjoy more of the fireworks.
Right.
But like, I was kind of shocked on that aspect because it felt dry out there.
It did. It really did, especially over on that side. You could definitely see the dryness.
Yeah. So interesting that, but I am glad that like townships and towns are like taking like concerns like that, because I feel like growing up, I mean, this is Massachusetts too, so it might be a little different. Like, there was no questions whether or not you were doing fireworks or not. You were doing fireworks. I feel like it's not until like the past 7 years where people have been like, maybe we shouldn't.
I think it was about 10 years ago that Michigan had, they were canceling fireworks shows because we were so dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a while. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't remember that as a kid by any means. But,
Right.
Jennifer says, we love the summer sunrise side. Yes.
Yes.
I do too. Enjoy you too. Thank you. Thank you, Violet.
Thanks.
Judy says, hi, y'all from Tennessee.
Hi.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
From Tennessee.
Howdy.
Let's talk about our crazy Sunday.
Try grocery shopping in that Sunday.
If anyone wasn't aware or might not have caught it on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, we had a tornado warning in northern Gladwin County.
Yes.
So we had showers and storms moving in. We had really no risk of any strong storms.
No.
And out of nowhere, we get a severe thunderstorm warning from National
I was
Weather
kind
Service
of really
Gaylord.
confused.
I was too, very much so. And we recognized it and passed along, hey, we need to run this
Crawler.
cycler on TV. We didn't have anybody in at the time.
Right.
And in the National Weather Service Gaylord warning, they're the ones that issue the warning. It said there's a little weak rotation in this tornado possible. And so we start deep diving in it. We have a text message chain
group
of
chat.
us. So we're like, all right, what do we do here? And to be honest with you, I was looking and looking and looking and looking, and I was just not seeing any rotation.
Neither was I.
I wasn't seeing anything that wasn't really severe with this storm. So no more than 5 minutes, tornado warning. So that's when we start like,
It's like we were talking about it, and then suddenly it was
There
like
it
you
was.
text, you're like, uh-oh, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, what
Except
happened?
I use an expletive.
I was making you clean.
Yeah, I said F. So then we started, John's like, I'll go in, I'll cover it. I was like,
Yeah.
cool, or we'll get this on the way. And I got up to my computers at home, and I
Get some
tried,
things
I was like,
ready.
I will get things ready for John when he gets in, so this will be much easier.
Yeah, you put on a
And
mic and go on air.
I couldn't connect to the computers here at work. I was like, oh,
Why
what?
is that, Michael?
I was like, why is this not working? So then I was like, well, I got to call Larry, make sure. Larry's one of our ops guys.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to call Larry so he knows that John's going to be in and John can break in and cover this.
Right.
And I couldn't get on, I couldn't call work. We didn't have power.
That's never good news.
So I was like, oh no. And so emergency backup plan.
What do we do?
I just turned on my stream at home because that's
Kinda
what I
like
do as a hobby.
This right now.
Just like this, but
From home.
From home. Thankfully, my account has all of the socials for
Logins.
9 and 10 and everything saved, and I just put in severe weather coverage and hit go.
Yeah.
And that saves a lot of time, but at the same time, we couldn't be on TV. So a friendly reminder to everyone who watches this or might in the future need coverage of severe weather. Not only will we be live on TV, if possible, we'll also be live on socials. And we had a
Yes.
lot of people tuning in, seeing what was happening, which was great, and I'm sure people relayed messages.
Right.
But in this instance, it doesn't matter what the situation is. We will be there live in some way, shape, or form.
And also on our like profiles too. Like,
yeah,
I know John was on.
Yep,
his
he was on
own
his phone.
personals.
Yep.
I just shared the 9 and 10. I was home. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I was.
You're limited when you have no power.
When we had no power, I was like, oh, I guess I can't do much actually.
Yeah. So it was a bad timing issue.
Yes.
That we fortunately got on top of, and from the National Weather Service in Gaylord and the emergency managers in Gladwin County, they didn't see any signs of damage. More than likely, it was at most probably a funnel.
Probably.
A lot of rotation, they did say, and there was rotation on the radar.
There was, yeah. It just like,
But-
I feel like, not to pick on NWS, I feel like, and I know when it's rotation, you want to like kind of pull the trigger fast. It kind of felt like we maybe pulled the trigger like a minute too soon.
And the thing is, that area is very notable for, it's got to be something in the topography.
Yeah.
For spinning up rotation. The exact same spot had one last year at this time.
It did. You're right. Yeah.
Me and Tegan covered it.
Yes, I remember that.
So I was like,
that was
okay.
Tegan's first tornado warning.
So I was like, this is an interesting spot. So good news is no issues in northern Gladwin County.
Yes.
Good news is we were covering it, and hopefully in
were able
timely
to
fashion
see.
to keep everybody safe. But we
Yes.
just want you to know, if something like that happens in the future where we for some reason don't have a signal for TV, we're still going to be bringing you guys stuff
Right.
live coverage on socials. And that's why we as a team implemented this last year, is because, you know, if you don't
We
have
needed
power,
it-
you can't watch TV. You need
No.
another outlet.
And when people are in their shelters and stuff, you don't have a TV in your shelter. You have your phone with you.
Right.
So if you can easily go on
Facebook
and find
or
us
YouTube
or something
or
like that.
something
yeah.
like that, it's much easier.
And
So-
know we're there. So I think
Yeah.
that's huge.
So miss y'all, couldn't come up this year. Glad you're here. Thank you, Judy.
Thanks.
The T-shirt weatherman, dressed like a professional.
Oh.
Cool. I mean, I'll tell you this, Patricia. What I wear doesn't make you professional. And I'm not trying to be mean about it. We need to get past the thing of a tie makes you professional, because that's not the case at all. So I'll leave it at that. I didn't find you anywhere. Thanks for the update as to what happened. I wanted to keep up with family there. Yeah, so you guys can
Yeah.
always find us, whether it's on my Facebook page, her Facebook page,
Yes.
910's Facebook page, 910 News YouTube channel. We're working on like Instagram and TikTok as well. So when severe weather like that happens, not only will we be live on TV, we'll also be live on socials, because you know, we can't just draw the line at TV and be like, all right, we covered everybody. That's just not the norm anymore. That's just not how
No,
it works.
especially if people are losing power and
Especially
stuff.
on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
People are not home or have a TV available.
You're
to them.
camping, you're doing whatever, you gotta make sure you're ready to go. So, no, I'm glad we started implementing more of these Facebook Lives, getting used to them. So yeah.
Watch all the time from Florida, like being at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So, now let's talk about something that's been in the news. I got to get Haley out of here in a timely fashion, so it's 10:18.
Oh, we got time. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're good. Let's talk about Texas.
Devastating.
Absolute devastation down in Texas.
Yes.
And we want to talk about this from the meteorology side of things, and exactly what has happened and what is right. And
Right.
what has gone right, I should say, leading up to this, and basically why this is pretty much one of the worst natural disasters. Flooding is...
What did we always say in our podcast? That water will always find the path of least resistance.
What you need to
And
remember with
it's
water
scary.
is, one, is it is always going to be the biggest force from Mother Nature. You cannot stop water.
No.
Water will always find the path of least resistance. When you live in a floodplain in Texas, it's even more accentuated.
Yeah.
If you've never seen Texas or been to Texas, Texas has about this much topsoil,
Yeah.
and then it's rock. So water has nowhere to go but following
Stays on the surface.
the surface.
Yeah.
So now let's take 21 to 30 inches of rain in a floodplain and send that to tributaries, lakes,
Yeah.
all these areas. 21 inches of water for
It's-
just one spot is a lot of water.
It's a
Now
lot.
start spreading that over miles. That is a ton of water.
You're seeing rivers swell. You're seeing lakes swell. You're seeing.
You saw lakes rise 51 feet.
Yeah,
Like, that's how much water.
There's nowhere for the water
moving.
to go.
So once that water has nowhere else to go, it's going to fan out, and it's going to continue. Flash flooding in Michigan is different than flash flooding in Texas.
Yes.
Flash flooding in spots like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You have literal minutes to get out of the way, or you might not have anything left.
Exactly.
In Michigan, we are very topography porous. We have hills. A lot of the water runs to the bigger lakes. I always go back to Ludington when they got 14 inches of rain in a matter of a few hours. Yeah, they had localized flooding, but nothing
Ponding on the roadways.
Right, you take 14 inches of water in Texas and you have life issues on your hands.
Yeah.
Life-threatening conditions. In Michigan, it's just we are built different because we have sand that accepts water. We have rocks farther down.
Flash
we have
flooding
topography.
happens in hours here, where Texas it happens in minutes. And
so
that's what happened.
This was a natural disaster that is, very, very sad.
Yes.
National Weather Service pulled the right triggers at the right times. The question that a lot of people have been asking is the timing of it, the timely fashion. It was like, yeah, but who's to say people are in the right place to get those?
Right.
Not everybody is always going to be. There needs to, I think personally, with a flash flood warning, and flooding is one of the worst.
It's the scariest, I think.
I think it's the leading cause of death from weather,
that is
from
true.
Mother Nature.
Yes, that is
I
true.
could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's
I'm pretty sure you're right.
But I feel like that needs to be like a tornado warning. It needs to be blared on your phone, letting you know, hey, an unstoppable force is coming. Like, water is an unstoppable force.
Because we get the advisory messages from the counties in our email whenever severe thunderstorm warning gets put in place, or really anything. And you'll always see, I know, like, Osceola County has it and Gladwin County has it, where it says, like, life-threatening danger.
Right.
And, like, that's what flash flooding is also.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. I also think it goes into the question of, so we have these warnings and these warnings put in place from National Weather Service. I almost wonder if it's like worth dissecting like different areas having different like categories of the warnings. Because like you mentioned, a flash flooding for us
something like
is very different compared to a flash flooding for Texas, where like we kind of have that blanket statement of it's why we get rid of some of these other warnings over time because they just don't fit like the criteria for the majority of us. Mm-hmm. I almost wonder if like that's something like National Weather Service looks into moving forward. Like I know we did a story this morning. Texas is going to implement more tornado sirens
for flooding. And they should. Again, flooding is very different in the far south.
Yes.
And what I did yesterday was run some stories on Beyond the Forecast that relate to why this happened.
Right.
First up, John talked about air masses, how those air masses impact those, or your daily weather.
Right.
And down south, the reason this was happening is because they still had the leftovers of Barry and that hurricane from Mexico was just hanging around with all of that moisture.
Yeah.
And that's why they got this. The subtropic moisture that they see this time of year down there, and it's monsoon season in the deserts right now. So like
just a lot of moisture.
It's a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of area for that moisture to go.
No.
But the one thing that we want to put to rest, a few things actually that we want to put to rest is one, this is not a political thing. This is not a right-left issue. This was not the right's fault. This was not the left's fault. That needs to go to rest right now.
Yeah.
This was not created by somebody. National Weather Service and NOAA was staffed just fine.
Exactly.
Do not let anyone fool you that this is a political issue. This was not a political issue at all.
I know we talk about short-staffedness for like National Weather Service. While that is true, they were fully staffed.
Yes.
It had more staff.
They were days of advance. Like they knew what was coming.
And they did, and their local meteorologists and National Weather Service did give warnings about this. It's not like this was like a flash flood is called a flash flood for a reason. It is because it kind of is just like it happens immediately. But there was warnings about the rain coming, and the possibility of this happening. It just, you really don't know how the water's going to react until it happens.
Correct. The Guadalupe River is very wild when it comes to give you an idea. So it crested, its record was 1932 at 20 feet.
Wow.
Yesterday it crested at 33 feet. That's insane. It was 18 feet higher than its record set back in 1932. So the Guadalupe River is
this
very
like
crazy.
100,000 year flood?
So I asked Joe, our boss, was in Texas for many, many, many years. And he's been watching this closely because he used to work in Austin, where everything's kind of flowing to.
Right.
And he said they're calling it like 100-year flood or something like
That's
that,
what I
200-year
figured.
flood.
Yeah.
But he's like, down there it's just different because like when they had hurricane over Houston, I can't remember the name of them. They gave him 51 inches of rain in 3 days.
Yes, I can't think of
it. It just
the one
sat there.
either.
It didn't go anywhere.
Right.
But he's like, it's different because all the floodplains and the way that they receive water is very different in Texas than like here in Michigan. But he's like, yeah, it's one for it's an act of God, if you will, if you want to say that. It is definitely an act of God. This is not one person's fault. This is not a political issue. And the other thing I want to put to rest is this was not man-made. All right, the conspiracy theorists need to stop with cloud seeding, made it rain, made this happen. Nobody made this happen. Cloud seeding, first off, is not this at all.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. Nobody can make it rain.
Yeah.
And I always point back to Ginger Z. She has a really good explanation of cloud seeding. Nobody can make it rain.
No.
Cloud seeding, we can make it rain more or snow more, but these are for areas that need it. They don't do that where this rain fell in Texas. The big discussion at the time about cloud seeding was in Connecticut when they had massive flooding in Connecticut.
Right.
They don't even allow cloud seeding in Connecticut.
No. Someone
and
asked
plus,
about
when they cloud
seeding
seed,
over the weekend.
right?
Like,
And when they cloud seed, every cloud seeding event is kept in a public database from NOAA. You can go see where cloud seeding is taking place, but all cloud seeding is
can you follow the planes?
Cannons on the back of a plane that shoots out
ions.
It's iodine.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, iodine. That basically
charge the clouds
to make it rain more.
Yes.
So it's already in a storm that's already raining.
Exactly.
And it just makes it rain more.
Yeah.
And usually it's for areas like North Dakota,
it
South
gives
Dakota,
the extra push,
the Central Plains to see more rain.
Yeah.
Where they farm the most.
Yes.
So let's just put that to rest. There's certain people out there saying we're going to create a bill about cloud seeding. One, you have the wrong idea of cloud seeding. And two, cloud seeding doesn't make it rain. This was not created by cloud seeding.
No, this was the perfect storm. Like, that's like, it was just like,
unfortunate. Mother Nature has events like this.
Yeah,
and it's very unfortunate that it happened in Texas.
We talk about it all the time, that like stuff like this happens, and this was just one of them. It was all the right ingredients for a lot of moisture, a lot of rain in the wrong area, and that's what happened. And there was plenty of warning.
Yeah.
I think now I saw some Facebook groups this morning talking about it. While there was warning, how do we as meteorologists and as community members prepare people when you see these warnings what to do?
Yep.
And I think that's what we do moving forward is you see the warnings, you know what can happen, but how can you prepare now?
And I think the biggest thing is, as we always do, is always teach the education of what Mother Nature can do and always be safe. That's why we tell you turn around, don't drown, especially areas like Texas, because there's videos out there that show you how quickly this water rushed through areas. There's one really good one there on the road, and it's a bridge across the river, and you see them, and in 2 minutes they keep backing up, and the water just continues to take over. And it took 2 minutes for this road to just fade away. And people were sitting there on both sides. And that's essentially how they do things in Texas when it comes to flood warnings or flash floods. They see the waters rushing down the river. They go miles down the road, start saying, you can't cross this bridge. The people are like, why? You're like, give it 5 minutes. You'll see why.
Exactly.
So they're ahead of it almost, right? But flash flooding in Texas is very different than flash flooding in Michigan.
Yes.
But the message is the same. Do not get in the way of water. Mother Nature's number one most powerful thing is water. And when you create 1 inch of water in a square acre is equivalent to something like 21,000 gallons of water.
It's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. Now take 21 inches of rain in several acres. It's something like 50 tons of water, 50,000 tons. So yeah, water is no joke. And when you hear about, 10, 20, 30 inches of rain possible, you really need to think of higher ground. And that's why
And Texas is hard.
Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, higher ground's hard to come by.
Exactly.
But
And that's why it's like, when you're thinking about, obviously the devastating stories coming out of it, a lot of it are, of course, the Mystic Camp girls and just campers in general. Having a plan, we always talk about during Severe Weather Week, having a plan in place, but a lot of those plans are kind of always like asterisks when you're home.
yeah,
But like these are like now things that you think about, like what should you have in your camper? What should you bring in a tent? Flash floods are kind of hard to come by when it comes to like preparing for things, but it is now a good idea to kind of think about stuff like that.
And the other worst part was it's on a holiday weekend.
Exactly.
And it's just terrible timing. But Mother Nature doesn't care about timing.
No.
When the conditions are right, those conditions will happen.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like too, like a lot of maybe national news didn't cover it on Friday because they were all focused on their own forecast, but it's something like you really got to think about. It's sad.
Carol says we love Haley. Thank you,
Thanks.
Carol. We do too.
Carol.
Howdy from South Branch. Hi, Bob. Thank you, Judy, for the agreements and praying for Texas. Yes,
Yes,
100%.
of course.
I agree that it really is not man alone, but I will tell you this. Weather modification isn't exactly like a real thing, but man has been modifying weather for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Because we are literally creating greenhouse gases.
Yes, we did a climate change podcast a while back that you guys can watch and talk about how men are man-made, not just men and women.
Man. It's our fault.
Humans are impacting the climate, which then leads to impacting weather day to day, which then impacts the rain, that impacts the flash flood. Like, yeah,
we are creating
there's
the extremes.
the feedback loop that you learn. I took climate stats in college, and one of the big things we learned was feedback loops. And this is everything in weather is a feedback loop of this happens because this happens, and this happens because this happens, and that happens, and this is going to continue into that cycle.
We did a Beyond the Forecast episode not too long ago explaining greenhouse gases, and this will kind of be the last thing, guys, before I have to let Haley go.
Yeah.
But greenhouse gases, the easiest way to think about it is a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I have a greenhouse,
literally
right?
Greenhouse.
Literal greenhouse. And what does it do? Well, the sun comes in, the greenhouse traps that and continues to keep things warm.
Yep.
Now, if you were to just keep the greenhouse stagnant, not open, not allowing fresh air to come in, and it's just heating and heating and heating, you're going to have issues in that greenhouse.
Right.
Earth is no different than a giant greenhouse.
Yeah.
The rays go through 5 different layers if you want to be real technical, of the atmosphere. And then the third level, which is the troposphere, I believe it is, ionosphere, one of the spheres, blocks the harmful rays of sun and allows in others, which is totally normal and fine. The problem is when our stuff that we generate here at the surface starts getting lodged in the atmosphere, mixing with that sun. We're literally creating issues with the atmosphere from both ends because you have the sun coming in and it's not changing. You're not allowing the atmosphere to recharge, filter things out. You're putting more into it. It's getting warmer and warmer and warmer. What happens when things get warmer in the atmosphere? You change what the atmosphere has been doing.
Right.
So with warm weather comes the more extremes when it comes, or warm atmosphere, I should say, comes the extremes for weather. Because with warmer temperatures, you tend to get more or heavier rain, bigger thunderstorms,
severe
bigger
weather.
issues.
Yeah.
That's why you see swings of extremes. It happened when we had the Dust Bowl.
Yeah.
It happens when things get warm. Things right now are warm.
Yeah.
Hence why you're seeing
especially
extremes.
in Texas.
Yeah.
Especially for areas like when.
And it's also the pattern we're set in too, because like right now,
and
being in neutral.
And being in neutral, and then also being at the start of, or I guess, start to middle of hurricane season.
Yep.
That's Right now, the ocean's going through rapid intensification of warming up in general,
Yes.
which is fueling hurricanes. Texas is one of those areas that get prone to moisture from hurricanes, which will then kind of sit upon Texas. And if Texas stays warm, there's nothing to kill that moisture. There's no dry, there's no coldness to kill any of that, which is why you see kind of that constant moisture around the region. It was the perfect storm. It was like that. That's what it was. Like
You had warm, moist air from the southwest. Now, if you have warm, moist air sitting in the southwest of Texas, that is literally the only dry spot. So if it's sitting there with warm, moist air, you're just feeding into it because the southeast side feeds in from the Gulf. The southwest side gets a little bit of the Pacific, but you had the warm, moist air that used to be a hurricane sitting there. So it was allowing for the moisture from the Pacific.
It was already opening the door for it.
So they had all of this happening. What happens now with a warmer atmosphere? Well, it just decides it's going to rain a ton.
Yeah.
So
And there was nothing to stop it.
that is kind of where we'll leave you guys
Yeah.
for today. You're so full of knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate it, Judy. Thank you. But we wanted to hit on some of those things.
Yes.
Because,
It's
it's what we do.
topical,
Topical
and
with
it's important to know because just because it didn't happen in our backyard.
doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Exactly.
We need to be aware that it
Exactly.
happened and think about the things that went right, things about the things that went wrong, and learn. But
And
at
as
the
we know,
same
just like
time,
how we can learn as a community and just like for our jobs too. How
and help in any way that we can.
Yeah.
And the way that we can really help is help educate people about these types of situations.
exactly. Yep.
So, but yeah, that does it for us, guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
all being here. We do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Michael Stevens,
I'm meteorologist Haley Fiaschetti.
and we appreciate y'all being here for Beyond the Forecast live streaming podcast. We will
Yes.
catch you at 4:30 this afternoon on Beyond the Forecast, but we'll also see you guys next week.
Yes. See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.